Today, we're digging into a powerful, ancient method for managing anger in tense situations. Let's start with a scene we all know. You're in a really difficult conversation. Tensions are high, right? And you can just feel that anger pulsing through you. All you want is to be heard, and you've completely stopped listening to them. So, how do you handle this? Well, an ancient letter offers some surprisingly practical advice. This piece of wisdom gives us a really clear three-part way to move forward. And see, this isn't just one piece of advice. It's actually a three-part framework. All right, let's break down what these three invitations actually mean in a conflict. So step one is to really try to listen, especially when it's the last thing you want to do. Because let's be honest, our need to talk often completely hijacks our ability to listen. This means creating a gap between that first flash of feeling and whatever you say next. And you can see how listening and pausing build directly toward that final invitation. The crucial point is that anger itself, that emotion, can actually be managed and directed. So don't think of these as separate rules. They're like three gears all working together. But okay, why is this so important? Let's look at the reason the text itself gives us. It basically says there is a huge disconnect between our impulsive anger and a good outcome. Put simply, that kind of impulsive anger almost never creates the positive results we're hoping for. You know that feeling anger just seems to show up out of nowhere demanding control? Which of course raises a really critical question about who's actually in charge here. Yeah, when you feel that heat rising, who is actually in the driver's seat? Well, this ancient wisdom gives a really powerful and direct answer. You are. This whole framework is a reminder that you have the power to make a different choice. And by making that choice, you're not just managing a single moment, you're building a better way of life. You've got the tools, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So next time, in the heat of the moment, what are you going to choose?
We've all been there. You're in a conversation, and suddenly, the temperature in the room just skyrockets. All that logic and reason you had a second ago, poof, it's gone. And all that's left is this heat, this feeling of being totally and completely swallowed by anger.
I mean, just really picture it. You're in a full-blown argument. The air is electric. You're dug in, and your body is just coursing with this raw, unfiltered anger. In that exact moment, it feels totally impossible to hear anything but the sound of your own frustration, right?
See, anger doesn't just show up politely. It kicks open the door and demands to take the wheel. It wants to steer your words, your actions, everything. And it leaves you feeling like you're just a passenger on a really, really chaotic ride. So if anger is trying to hijack the car, how do we get back in control? Well, it turns out there's an ancient practice for this exact problem. It's a different way of thinking that offers a roadmap for finding a much better path forward. The practice is called Lectio Divina, which sounds kind of fancy, I know. It literally just means spiritual reading. But hey, you don't have to be religious to get the core idea here. It's all about slowing down, really reflecting on a piece of text, and finding some wisdom you can actually use in your own life. It's a tool for thinking that's open to absolutely anyone. Now, the specific wisdom we're looking at today comes from the book of James. And this isn't some abstract philosophical text. No, this letter is known for being incredibly practical. It's full of real-world advice on how we can all get along with more dignity, respect, and humility. And here it is, the absolute core of the whole idea. Just let that sink in for a second. Quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. It sounds so simple on the surface, but man, is that a huge shift from how we normally operate, especially when our emotions are running high. So here's the thing. This isn't just a nice saying you'd find on a coffee mug. It's actually a three-part invitation. A clear, simple, and totally actionable framework that you can start using right away. So let's break it down. Okay, let's see how these pieces fit together because they're brilliant. First up, be quick to listen. This is an active choice, right? It's about deciding to genuinely hear someone, especially when every fiber of your being wants to jump in and talk. Then, step two, be slow to speak. This is all about patience. It's about creating that little bit of space, that pause, before you react. And that pause is everything. It's a game changer. And finally, be slow to become angry. This completely reframes anger. It's not some unstoppable monster, but an emotion we can actually learn to manage and direct. You can see how they build on each other to create this whole new way of responding. And let's be super clear about one thing. This is not about pretending you're not angry. It's not about bottling up your emotions. We all know that doesn't work. The goal here is emotional maturity. It's about transforming that raw, impulsive reaction into a thoughtful, intentional response.
Which really brings us to the heart of it all. In those heated moments, we actually have a choice. We can go down the default path of pure reaction, or we can choose a better way, the way of a considered, thoughtful response.
And when you put the two side by side, the difference is it's night and day. Typical human anger is all about reacting. It has this desperate need to be understood, so what does it do? It lashes out. It talks over people. But this better way, it's intentional. It chooses to understand the other person first. It harnesses the power of silence. And it always listens before speaking.
So why go through all this trouble? What's the actual payoff? Well, it leads directly to the things I think most of us are searching for. A real sense of emotional maturity, way healthier relationships with the people we care about, and honestly, a much deeper feeling of inner peace and calm. And that brings us right back to where we started. This incredible piece of ancient wisdom is a reminder that we can be in control. We can grab the wheel back from our anger, and it leaves us with a really powerful, really personal question to think about. The next time you feel that heat rising, who's really in your driver's seat?
It's important to truly hear what others are saying.
Yes, and to think before we respond in anger.